Tony, good morning. Good morning. How are you? Good, thank you. You? Doing well. Good, good. Yeah. Please go back to it. Good morning. I'm sorry? Oh, yes.
Good morning.
Morning.
Once again, it's my joy and responsibility to call to order our trustee meeting for January the 31st, 2023. To make it official, we will call on our secretary to the board for the roll call.
All right. Mayor Biassiata.
Here.
Mr. Joyce. Mayor Kumar. President Lucas.
Present.
Ms. McCall.
Here.
Ms. Moss.
Here.
Ms. Peo.
Here.
Mayor Weiss.
Present.
And Ms. Welch.
Present.
We have 7 board members present.
Thank you very much. May we have the certification?
Mr. President, I first advise that notice of this meeting has been posted more than 24 hours in advance of the meeting, and that the usual notification has been given the news media and other interested persons, and that all requirements of the Ohio Revised Code and rules and bylaws of this board regarding notice of meeting have been complied with.
Thank you very much. We will now have public comments. 2 minutes, please, on agenda items. Who is here in person? You can stay right there, dear.
Yeah, she has the mic. I think you just have to turn it on. Is there an on switch?
Oh, I think
Just
this
state
is
your name.
Hi, I'm Shalita Dobbins. Paratransit is a lifeline for the disabled community. Unfortunately, the website that is used to schedule rides is outdated and, most importantly, not ADA compliant. I spoke with a woman who is a paratransit rider who refuses to use the website to schedule because of the lack of ADA requirements.
Yeah.
This has caused her to miss important medical appointments. These requirements include color contrast in text, screen readers, and the ability to use the website without a mouse. I'm also a paratransit rider and have experienced issues with the website frequently. Most recently, the website was not available and I had to call to schedule a ride. Another issue is not being able to view the website on the mobile device correctly. Yes, the phone service is there, but in this day and age, a website should be the first choice and accessible. I sent the website to be reviewed and rated on how ADA compliant it was. I wasn't surprised to see that it failed the ADA and WCAG guidelines. Today, I'm asking you to make changes to the website that will make it completely ADA compliant. By March of this year, I would like for you to discuss appropriate changes with your staff. By the end of 2023, I would like to see the whole website completely updated. Public transit is a civil right. Everyone deserves it. April 4th is Transit Equity Day. There will be a rally at Public Square at Euclid in Ontario at 2 p.m. I hope to see you there to show your support for public transit.
All right, thank you very much. Also at this meeting, Mr. Dickerson, where is Mr. Dickerson? So, stand up a minute so she can see you. And there you are. And as soon as the meeting's over, I want the two of you to get together so you can repeat what you said. So to him, he's in charge of that. Okay?
May I make a comment?
Yeah.
Just wanted to make a quick comment. Usually I do not do this during public comment, but I do agree that this is something that we have also recognized. And I want to just make aware that we are actually in the beta testing phase of revamping our website. And the way that we typically do that is we go internal first. We have an intranet and then an internet page. So I have seen the intranet beta testing, and we're in that kind of unveiling phase. So I would expect that we'll make sure that we address a lot of the issues you mentioned as well. And I can say that I'm very pleased with what I've seen so far, but we'll make sure that we route that and vet that before we unveil it to the public. Thank you.
All right, anybody else here in person for public comment?
Good morning. My name is Matthew Ahn. I am a professor at CSU's Law School. I'm here in my capacity as a member of Clevelanders for Public Transit to discuss Transit Equity Day, to make a request of each of you to commit to using transit to get around for a week starting this Saturday, February 4th. Transit Equity Day is commemorated on February 4th yearly on the birthday of Rosa Parks to call attention to the importance of public transit as a civil right. My time is short, so I'm skipping over the history. History is important. The operational issues that you're about to discuss are difficult. Some are beyond your control. The pot of money is finite, right? There are certain things in Agenda Item 14 that just have to be paid for. And you're here because you have some expertise in how to address these problems or local government problems in general. And in my classes at CSU Law, we cover the concept of the grassroots scholar, somebody who understands the changes that are needed to a structure because they live the effects of the structure's shortcomings every day. The perspective of the grassroots scholar is, in many circumstances, more important than the perspective of the expert because their lived experience helps them to assess potential changes at a practical level. This is why we are challenging our officials to ride transit for a week, not because we think you don't care about the riders, obviously, but it can be hard to assess paths forward, and the perspective of somebody who uses the system regularly is one that should be front of mind at decision time. And I know you've heard rider stories before. I know because I've yelled up here about the Healthline speed before, and you're here to help fix those problems. So I'll give you one more. It's icy out this morning. I fell off my bike last night commuting home, but as a non-car commuter, I'm still planning to bike to Lakewood after this because the 26 bus, even on a weekday schedule, is not reliable enough for me to feel comfortable getting to my next meeting on time. Even still, of course, it's one thing to hear this, and it's another thing to have lived it. I'm not asking you to scrape your wrist on Euclid, just to ride some buses and trains for a week. As Ms. Dobbins mentioned, CPT is hosting a rally and ride-along this Saturday at 2 p.m. on Public Square to kick off a week of transit reliance, and we hope you will join us there as well. I urge you to commit to riding only public transit for 1 week, starting on Transit Equity Day this Saturday. Thank you.
All right.
They're at the podium. Hello there.
Good morning. This is Mr. Rodriguez. I did take the train to Windermere, actually the bus to Windermere Rapid Station. And once, that was a vibrant station. You know, there was music playing, there was a cafe there. But when I transferred over there for the first time in a while, a couple of weeks back, like about a month, it was not clean enough. It was very poorly maintained. The elevators were disgusting. It needs a lot of improvement. That station was in poor maintenance conditions. I'm just saying, you know. But y'all got to get it together. Y'all got to get it together in these stations and get them a little bit cleaned up and a little bit sanitized. It was disgusting. I just emailed Jose about it too, and he has records of it. I thank you for your attention. That's what I want to bring up: maintenance in the stations.
Anyone else? Anybody else here for public comment? All right, is there anybody on the phone?
We have 2 callers on the line.
All right.
First caller, extension 0387. You're on the air.
These are the names of 5 taxpayer-funded neighborhood public libraries in the city of Cleveland that the strongly suggested 15A will come in close proximity to if you will either do the right thing and put it in place. The Woodland Library within 3 blocks at 55th and Quincy. Harvey Rice Library at the corner of 116th or MLK and Shaker Boulevard. The Mount Pleasant Library, 140th and Bartlett, 3 blocks. The East 131st Street Library, 1 block at Bartlett and 131st. And depending on where the route comes out, either at 173rd and Harvard or 177th and Harvard, the Lee Harvard Public Library. This is along with touching Metro Campus for Tri-C, Eastern Campus for Tri-C, and Cleveland State University, amongst the other hospitals that were mentioned, and the retail, which is the most common job in Cleveland. If you will pay attention to what you said your focus was when you implemented this quasi-program of work, school, and hospital push through the next gen. You have not done that. You should pay attention to this. The mayor wants to increase literacy in the city, and this will be a contributor to that as it applies to public transit's contribution. In addition to that, I repeat, the most common job in Cleveland is the retail job. 48A did and still should go through Shaker Square, which the city has pumped in a lot of money to help renovate and become what it has always been meant to be, a good retail place.
10 seconds, sir.
For the east side and the rest of the city. And so take this seriously, take the job seriously, and follow up and follow through on what your claims are for the best interest of the city. The social economic well-being of the public through the implementation of public transit.
All right, thank you very much. Next caller.
Caller number ending in 5841. You're on the air.
My name is Dante Taylor, and I would like to see how the circulators can come back to Cleveland, because the circulators were a viable access to public transportation. They got you to different places, and they help people get to work on time and everything else and all that good stuff. And this was a great, valuable access to Cleveland, Ohio. And I would like to see how can we work together to get the circulators back.
All right. Any other calls? That's it?
That was the last caller.
Thank you very much. We want to go back to number 4. May we have approval for the December 20th board meeting? Have a motion?
So moved, Mayor Weiss.
Second?
Second, Welch.
All right. We need a roll call on that, Mr. Brown?
If you would like,
All right, roll call is requested.
Mayor Biassiata,
Yes.
Mr. Joyce, Mayor Kumar, President Lucas,
Yes?
Ms. McCall.
Yes, sorry. Yes.
Minutes, sorry.
Sorry.
Ms. Moss? Yes. Ms. Peo?
Yes.
Mayor Weiss?
Yes.
Ms. Welch?
Yes.
We have 7 ayes and none opposed.
All right. Do any of the chairpersons have a committee report? Yes, Vice President?
Yes, turn on. I'm speaking on behalf of Mayor Kumar, who is not here today, and it's really about the audit plan. And let me just make sure I say everything I'm supposed to say. So Tony Garofoli, the head of internal audit, sent board members an email to request their feedback on the audit plan. So I suggest the board members look at that. And he also left on our desks, and he'll do it one more time. So anything that we want to make sure that gets audited, and you can always reach out to Tony as well. So I just want to make sure that you're all aware that we're in the process of doing our risk-based internal audit plan. Thanks.
Any other chairperson? Yes, Valerie?
Not chair, but somehow I got roped into being the board liaison for the CAC for about another month or so. Just want to remind you, I know that this got touched on briefly at the meeting, the committee meeting a couple weeks ago, that the team will be bringing back a proposal and full presentation at the February committee meeting on the CAC and the revamping of the CAC. I know this is important to a lot of people, particularly a lot of people sitting in the audience right now, as well as to this board and to the agency. So the February meeting, particularly to the listeners and to people in the audience, we will be presenting that and having a deep dive into the revamping of the CAC. So thank you.
All right. Anybody else? Anybody else? Anybody else? All right, thank you very much. We now have the introduction of new employees and announcements of promotion. For the Fields, how are you this morning?
Great, President Lucas, how are you?
Fine, thank you.
All right. Good morning, President Reverend Lucas, Ms. Birdsong Terry, members of the board. It's my pleasure to introduce our new hires and promotions for January. We'll start with our new hires. We have janitors Latrell Moats, Deshandre Williams, and Vanessa Holloman. Paratransit operator Barbara Wilson. Operator trainees for bus Daniel Foster, Bobby Corleone, Ava Cook, Curtis Brown, Sean Foster, and Stanley Oliver and Leon Wells and John Whitaker. Laborers, Sanford Vaughn, Taquan Pogue, Anita Kochevar as telephone operator information clerk, and Brady Burns as laborer. That concludes our new hires. Now for our promotions, we have Paul Majou, facilities maintenance crew leader, Arnold Shorter Jr. as Assistant Supervisor of Equipment, Victoria Jitleka as Transit Ambassador, Brian Pitts as Supervisor of Revenue Collection, David Rutledge as Senior ITS Specialist, and Ryan P. Cook as Crew Chief. Please join me in congratulations for these new hires and promotions. That concludes my report, President Lucas.
You don't have retirees?
Oh, well, the retirees are
You have
next
to
with the
introduce
resolution.
The resolution first.
And the resolution, right, okay. All right, introduction of resolution 2023.
Expressing congratulations to the employees of the Greater Cleveland Regional Transit Authority who retired during the fourth quarter of 2022.
All right. Fields?
Move adoption. Valerie. Second. Luce.
Second, okay.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good morning again. It's my pleasure to congratulate and introduce these new hires for our fourth quarter. We have Diane Taylor, Hostler, Eddie Mae McKinney, bus operator, Vernita Bowie Thomas, bus operator, John Morrison, bus operator, Paul Hibbert, bus operator, Dorothy Pass Ashley as paratransit reservations operator, Anthony Fortino, paratransit operator, Jason Woods, training operating instructor, Kevin Moore, assistant supervisor of equipment, Russell Young, material handler, Gregory Schreiner, material planner, Walter Holly as equipment maintainer, Joseph Billick, maintenance planner, Jeff Beckstrom, lead database administrator, Kim Hill, legal secretary, and Cheryl King Binford, senior advisor, who was formerly our deputy general manager of the Legal Affairs Division General Counsel.
All right. Let me, on behalf of the board again, congratulate all of these retirees who've given many years of service and good service to RTA. And a special salute again to Cheryl King Binford, who served as our legal general counsel for a number of years and did such an excellent job. We wish her the very best in her retirement. And on behalf of the board and all of us here at RTA, the staff, we send again to Cheryl. We had several little events to say congratulations and farewell to her. Once again, let the record show that we spent a few minutes saying a few more words about Attorney Benford. Anybody else? All right. Thank you, Mr. Fields.
Thank you.
Let's give the retirees a hand. All right, all those in favor of that resolution, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Thank you very much. All right, 2023-2.
Authorizing contract number 2022-122 with Clark Transportation Consulting and Services, LLC, DBA Bison Rail Systems for Project 12D, Trunk Line Signal System, in an amount not to exceed $4,464,789.20. RTA Development Fund, Engineering and Project Development, Department Budget.
All right, a motion, please.
Move adoption. Valerie?
Second.
Lose second.
All right, any discussion? Any discussion? All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, no. Thank you very much. And again, I always announce that these resolutions have been vetted all the way through to the staff, to the committee, and then finally to the board. Sounds like we're moving right along without that, but all these have gone through all of the things I just mentioned. 2023-3.
Authorizing contract number 2022-121 with Northeast Ohio Trenching Service Incorporated for Project 12DA Bungalow Foundations for the trunk line resignaling in an amount not to exceed $347,000. RTA Development Fund, Engineering and Project Development, Department Budget.
Is there a motion?
Motion Welch.
Second?
Second. Lose.
Any discussion? All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Thank you very much. 2023-4.
Authorizing contract number 2022-114 with ETC Institute to provide survey services in an amount not to exceed $259,145 for a period of 1 year, and an amount not to exceed $259,145 for each of the 2 option years, for a total contract amount not to exceed $777,435. General Fund Administration and External Affairs Department Budget.
The motion?
So moved. Lose.
Second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, no. Thank you very much. 2023-5.
Authorizing contract number 2022-144 with Oracle America Incorporated to provide Oracle software licenses, maintenance, and support services for a period of 1 year, an amount not to exceed $611,960.83. General Fund, Innovation and Technology Department Budget.
All right, is there a motion, please?
So move. Lose.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, no. Thank you very much. 2023-6.
Removing Section 644.09, prior service credit, from the Codified Rules and Regulations of the Greater Cleveland Regional Transit Authority as duplicative of Personnel Policy 400.09, prior service credit, and amending Personnel Policy 400.09.
All right, so motion?
So moved. Mayor Weiss.
Second?
Second. Valerie?
Any discussion? All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, no. Thank you very much. 2023-7.
Approving the 2023 Title VI Program Update for submittal to the Federal Transit Administration.
The motion?
So moved, Welch.
Second, Valerie.
Any discussion? All right, all those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Thank you very much. All right. Was there any special guests to be introduced that are here? Anybody that wanted to be introduced?
Reverend Lucas. If I may, we just have a couple of representatives that are attached to, I believe, the second resolution, 2023-2, which was with Clark Transportation. They're here to be able to provide any technical support questions that may have arisen from that particular resolution. There were none, but we appreciate their support. They're sitting in the back here. Thank you so much for your attendance today.
All right, anyone else? Okay. Hearing now from our Secretary Treasurer.
Reverend Lucas, members of the board, good morning. My name is Raj Gautam. I am the Deputy General Manager of Finance and the Secretary Treasurer for the authority. Here to give you an overview of the general economic conditions, as well as the main sources of unrestricted operating revenue that the authority has. We'll start off with the economic conditions. The annual inflation rate is, in the U.S. has increased from 2.5% in January 2020 to a high of 9.1% in June 2022. Since June 2022, the inflation rate has been falling. At the end of December, inflation is down to 6.5%. It is expected to continue to fall in 2023, especially with the Federal Reserve taking a very aggressive posture and raising interest rates. The Fed Reserve raised the interest rates in December to the highest levels in 15 years, in a fight against inflation. The Federal Open Market Committee increased the interest rates by another 0.5 percentage point to 4.38%. I'm not going to spend a great deal of time because this is partial information. We do not currently have December information. So these are November numbers that you've previously seen. Same thing here, which looks at the 5 largest metropolitan statistical areas in Ohio. These are November numbers. December numbers are expected to be available over the next few weeks, and we'll come back and update you at that time. December ridership was 15.7% higher than December 2021 level. On a year-to-date basis, ridership is 18% above 2021 and 10.9% above 2020 levels. On the upper right-hand side of the slide, you see the ridership in millions. The pre-COVID 2019 rides were approximately 32.1 million, and 2022 is 18.8%, which is significantly higher than when compared to 2020 and 2021, but we still have a ways to go. December passenger fare revenue, 39.6% above December 2021 levels. And that's largely a result of timing differences on when we may receive cash from UPass agreements, et cetera, that we have with area educational institutions. And we had received approximately 553,000 in UPass payments in December. On a year-to-date basis, fare revenue is 33.5% above 2021 levels. On the upper right-hand side, once again, a quick summary in millions. 2019, at the bottom, our passenger fare revenue was 42.8 million. Went down to as low as 21.5 million in 2021 and has recovered since then to finish 2022 with 28.8 million. Throughout the pandemic, except for the first initial months, sales tax has remained extremely strong for us. December 2022 receipts which once again is based on September 2022 economic activity with the 3-month lag, was 9.23% higher when compared to December 2021. 10.5% higher than budget, and on a year-to-date basis, receipts were 6.52% higher than 2021. 11 of the 23 categories were positive in December when you compare December 2022 versus 2021. Motor vehicles and watercraft were 43.9% higher. Online sales, 31.7% higher, and regular and statewide sales, 9.3% higher. We have also received the January sales tax receipt. January 2023 receipt, based on November's activity, is 3.2% higher than January 2022, 14.1% higher than budget. And for January, 14 of the 23 categories were positive. Motor vehicles and watercraft, 25.3% lower. Online sales, 25.9% higher. Regular and statewide sales, 6.2% higher. That concludes my update and report. I'd be happy to entertain any questions.
Questions to Secretary Treasurer? All right. Once again, we congratulate you on a good report. Very thorough as always.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Raj. Hearing now from our general manager, who's traveled all over the world since we've seen her last. And she's been on television.
Lost a little luggage and everything.
And everything else. Welcome home.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, board members as well as audience members and staff. I'll be relatively brief this morning. I always say that, and then we go into discussion, so I'll give it a best shot. January for us has really been a year to reflect on what we've done in 2022 and to be able to plan for 2023. You'll see in my report a lot of training sessions. We are really taking a laser focus to training at GCRTA, not only for our staff, but also for our vendor relationships and as well as our board members. So the first up will be a recap of a board trustee working session that was really a spinoff of conversations that occurred mid-year in 2022 at our retreat that was held in June. We basically met in this room on January 20th with all of you to be able to go through trainings that were deemed necessary for the board, just to remember the working rules and also prepare for 2023 as we move into major procurements, ethics, travel, budgetary items, and additional project updates. We did have Hennis Communications. As I mentioned earlier in the month, we had Hennis Communications train our internal staff on how to handle media, how to handle crisis situations, and how to really start to engage in the narrative about RTA and how we can get ahead of it in times of crisis. So we did have Hennis Communications come before our board and give a truncated version of that training as well. So we appreciate Hennis for that, and our External Affairs Division, which did a great job in putting that together. As I mentioned, we also went through things administratively. So procurement overviews, we're coming to the board with millions of dollars in projects. We want to make sure that they are aware of what our processes are so that they are able to vote with confidence in a lot of these different procurements. We talked about P-card overview, board governance, budget, and the like. We also had updates, as you hear from time to time, on key projects for 2023, including the COC, which is our Transit Police Civilian Oversight Committee, which we are hiring for, so to speak, and recruiting for members for that committee now. It's on our website. I'll make a shameless plug for that. And then we also have our micro transit pilot, which we will actually be embarking upon a ribbon cutting as FYI for board members. You'll see that pop up on your calendar shortly. We're shoring up those details, and for the public as a teaser, you will see a press release shortly be issued not soon after this meeting that will give a sneak preview into the details. If you can recall, this is our first pilot for the micro transit program with Solon. Mayor Kraus out of Solon is very excited about this, as is several members of our delegation. through the legislative process, and we'll have their support as well as the county in that event. So we're looking forward to it, and that will be mid-February, more details to come. And then also we went through our strategic plan and TOD with the introduction of a new property manager, Jim Reed, who will be working alongside Jim Rusnoff. Also in the vein of training, we did have a beta testing going on. This is our project management PM training program. This was going on last week, actually, where 46 of our management across RTA completed an internally created project management training. I just want to repeat that. It's the internally created that we're really proud of. We actually have not seen this PM training widely available in the industry, and that was actually confirmed during my during my travel, which I'll indicate in a little bit. I actually got a couple chuckles from folks because I said, well, I know where my folks are even when I'm out of town. They're in this training, which was very well received because it really signified the unification of our management team and a lot of our creativity in creating this. Again, this was spearheaded by our procurement, legal, and engineering teams along with support from training. So this was a 3-day training, nothing to sneeze at. It definitely took a lot of man hours and dare I say a lot of creativity and commitment. So this will be rolled out throughout the agency to be able to remind folks of how to best manage any any project that comes through the RTA. So it is an RTA 101 of sorts to be able to go over scope, budget, deliverables, all of those things that go into a great project management course. Wanted to also give you an update. Seems like we're on a roll here. Every time I come up to this stage, we're actually announcing a new grant or funding opportunity that we have been awarded. So keeping in line with that, we did receive notification over the holiday and New Year that we are awarded $1.9 million to replace up to 6 diesel-powered transit buses. They'll be replacing our diesel fleet by CNG, compressed natural gas. And that's a significant action to be able to reduce diesel emissions in our area. It's known as the DERG, the Diesel Emission Reduction Grant. So we definitely appreciate the Ohio EPA and also the state DOT to be able to continue to support us in these efforts. So thank you so much, and thank you to the team who submitted a great application on behalf of our agency. Also wanted to keep you advised, just as a reminder, that we are awaiting notification of hopefully our good news that we applied for a grant to be able to bridge the gap in what we are looking to be able to support rail car funds for the replacement of the rail car. We submitted a request to the Federal Transit Administration for the vehicle replacement program in the amount of $130 million. This, again, is intended to be able to help absorb some of that gap in funding. If you recall, we advised you that we were looking at about a $300 million program cost for replacement of our rail fleet. Keep in mind that that number continues to inflate as the market continues to inflate with materials and such as the years go by. This is another reason why we are being very aggressive and very assertive in our approach to make sure that we can capture that funding so that we can also capture the rail car costs and lock that in as soon as possible. We are aware that FTA is able to award up to 6 grants totaling $600 million, so the funds are available. It is a matter of whether or not we can capture 130 or less. We're willing to take what we can get, but we are aiming for 130 to be able to bridge that gap. So we are crossing fingers and toes, awaiting for that notification that we would expect to come in the spring, probably around April of 2023. So we'll make sure to keep you updated on that, and then also update you on what our plan is going forward should we get that amount or less. Wanted to be able to also give you a quick update. You should have a copy of this booklet at your dais. This is the Government Finance Officers Association Award. This is the GFOA, which creates a kind of synopsis of the shining examples, is what they call it on the front, of management organizations that have excelled in the area of budgetary and finance. GCRTA was included among that list. I believe that our write-up is on page 17 through 19 in your booklet here. And that really goes into just a summary of the great work that Raj Gotham, Kay Satula, John Taher, and team have been doing over the past year and more to be able to manage the funds that have come in through transportation, capital, and operating budget. They talk about things like fair equity, a lot of the main tenets of our pillar studies that we embarked on years ago, and then how we are able to kind of ride through the pandemic without any major hits to the authority. So we appreciate that. I just want to take a moment to celebrate the team. It's absolutely great work. This is not easy to come by, especially in public transit, so we were recognized, so congratulations to them as well. As per usual, every year I come in front of the authority to be able to update the board on some of the temporary promotional programs that we have embarked upon during the last year. So in 2022, 2 programs were conducted. This is listed within our bylaws and code that I must keep you updated, and of course we would anyway. The total amount of discounts provided was around $7,000. And these were programs that are widely supported through the greater Cleveland area to be able to support constituents and programs that help out with the citizens of greater Cleveland. So we did support 2 nonprofits in their endeavors at a 50% discount for bulk passes. And I do have that authority and within the code section 84009 to be able to do that without board approval. However, I elect and am required to come before you and update you on an annual basis as to what we've been doing, and this is it. Raj, I'm not sure if you have any additional information on this particular code or if there are any questions before I move forward.
I don't have any additional information, but if there are any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
So the question, I figured that would come up, which is great. Raj, if you could advise on who those 2 nonprofits are.
Ms. Moss, this is Raj Gautam for those online. The 2 entities, and these are historical, these are not new entities. When we reported the activity for 2020 and 2021, these have been partner agencies that we have worked with and supported over the years. The agencies are Hands on Northeast Ohio, which does the Homeless Stand Down project that you may remember in one of the presentations last year we talked about. And the other one is an entity called Summer on the Cuyahoga, and that is a program, a nonprofit that brings in young professionals and high school students into the Cleveland area to give them an overview of arts, entertainment, education, and whatever else is available. And those are the 2 organizations that we have been supporting. You're welcome.
All right.
Thank you. I'll be very quick, a couple more if you don't mind. Also wanted to give you an update on our travel over the past month. Our Deputy General Manager of Human Resources and Training, George Fields, served as a panel participant on the Transit Cooperative Research Program through TRB. That's the Transportation Research Board. They talked about things including mental health, wellness, and really being able to retain your workers in the transit field. It's really important that we get out there and are at the head of those conversations. I'm finding that RTA is in great demand to be able to be part of these conversations due to a lot of our ingenuity and work that we're coming out with creative ways to be able to get to the hiring process in light of the pandemic exiting. We're finding that it's difficult to be able to keep our numbers at 100% industry-wide. Everyone has workforce shortages. However, we've got to be able to think outside of the box, and we were pleased to be able to be on this panel. So thank you, George, for your participation in that. I was able to represent RTA in Honolulu. I couldn't control the weather, but it was a great opportunity. I didn't see much of the sun, but I was able to support the CEO roundtable panel discussions and also EDI. You'll find that we call it DEI here. It's all of the same, diversity, equity, and inclusion. A lot of times you'll see those acronyms kind of reversed depending on the agency. I was able to discuss best practices. We talked about things like capital projects. The audience in this particular meeting were the vendors It was the business side of the industry, which is very important because there were only about 10 CEOs for public transit in attendance. It's a very specialized group that talks about how best to explore those relationships, positive relationships between vendors and public transit agencies so they can hear what we need from them. These are the folks that make the bus seats. These are the folks that make the windows. These are the folks that manufacture the software systems and really start to be creative in ways to work with us so that we can kind of think outside of the box. We talked about what keeps us up at night as CEOs. That's a lot of things. But also talking about recruitment and retention. We talked about EDI. We were able to play our video. We played it for you before in this audience regarding the mural that's on Woodhill in front of CBM. And that really kind of hit home. I saw a lot of watery eyes, which tends to happen at the end of that video where people really understood the importance of art and communication and just being able to revamp some of our communities. And those are a lot of points that came up in the conversations as well. So it was a great opportunity to be able to get in front of those vendors and really have them understand what's important to us in the public transit agency. And we all found out that we pretty much have the same short list of expectations for those vendors. On-time deliverables, understanding a union environment, as well as understanding our budgetary and drawdowns for grants so that we have on-time deliverables and on-time payments. To be able to round us out here, we actually had a great presentation yesterday. This was facilitated by Valerie McCall. We appreciate her for that. Moderated by Doug Tisdale out of RTD in Denver through APTA. This was a conversation with myself and our chief of police, Chief Deirdre Jones, talking about policing and safety and security and how we were able to actually reinvent ourselves and reach back out to the community in a new way over the past year and a half after the onboarding of Chief Jones. We talked about and touched on things like the Civilian Oversight Committee, the Transit Ambassador Program with a nod to mental wellness and also the unhoused, and really talking about new ways that we can start to and continue to increase our community footprint. So we got a lot of great hits on that one, a lot of great questions, and we appreciate you, Valerie. I don't know if you had any comments or if that was...
You know what? Yes, let me connect the APTA presentation with the business members' presentation. Those are two important things that RTA is participating in, but India, as our CEO, GM, I don't want to minimize the importance of her being in front of those organizations, thus the business members, aka the vendors, and the transit board members, us. The policy setters across the country. A lot of times we did not intersect, meaning that the business members and the CEOs and the transit board members did not come together. So when I chaired APTA, that was actually my thing, collaboration, bringing everyone together. And to see that it is continuing is phenomenal. The fact that India got invited to be at a panel with the business members that generally don't let transit board members in and don't let CEOs in says a lot. It says that we're talking to each other and we're sharing best practices. And then to turn around in the same week, and this was not planned, be a part of a presentation with transit board members says a lot. And so it says, number one, that RTA is on the radar nationally, which we have been for a long time and we still are. But number two, it also says that the importance of connecting those, what we do as an agency, what we do as transit board members, and what gets done with our business members is so important. And so to have India and RTA and even George being at TRB, all of those things connecting those dots are very important for GCRTA. So it may seem like a small feat. It's a very important initiative. And Mr. Chair, the fact that we allow our team to participate in that is very important. It may seem minor, but it is extremely important. It's important for us. Those relationships, those connections that we make means a lot to RTA. So kudos for RTA for being in those spaces this week. And India, I wish you could have brought some of that weather home. I tried to bring some home too, but it didn't work.
It didn't work. I heard it was nice. I looked out the window a lot, but I appreciate that. And thank you again. I definitely concur with Member McCall. I appreciate the support in making sure that we can get out there and have a national presence. It makes a huge difference when we're able to go out and ask for this funding for these essential projects. So thank you. I believe that concludes my presentation, Chair, if that's... Yes.
Yes, go ahead.
a really great article in the Plain Dealer, and it was about NOACA's desire to connect a train from the national park to downtown Cleveland. And I saw that we were going to have a role in that. And this is like kind of new to me. And I've always kind of said I don't like reading things for the first time in the newspaper. But I was just wondering what would be our role and where are we in that process? And if we can't do that now, how can we get that on the agenda so the board knows what RTA is doing and making sure that you have board support before going forward?
Sure. Thank you, Member Moss. I appreciate that. I did see that article as well. That has been a conversation that NOACA has been having with a lot of our constituents throughout the county and throughout the region. It is in the conversation stage. At this point, we have not signed on to any particular agreements or anything like that. It's still in the planning phase. However, we've had a few meetings for the exploratory conversations with NOACA and others. We've had a few members of our planning division and also our engineering division and ops to be able to talk through what it would mean to be participant in that. They listed in that article about 5 organizations that have been in those meetings to be able to talk through that. So at this point, it's still in the exploratory phase, but I would be more than happy to talk with Grace Gallucci, Executive Director over at NOACA, to make sure that we provide a presentation here jointly when we have a little bit more information about what that means for our rail system to be able to connect to those towpaths. And I would say that it's something we are supportive of as an agency from the administrative side to make sure that we don't miss an opportunity to really get into the whole exercise phenomenon and also the nature connectivity from RTA so that we don't kind of miss that gap between the first and last mile. And that's really been the conversation, is how do we make that connection between the last mile of our system versus the first mile of Metro Park and other towpaths and nature kind of activity, because there is a little bit of a gap there, and how to bring that activity back into Cuyahoga County. So we've committed to the exploratory process, but we haven't committed to anything specific yet. Yes.
Right, yes, Valerie.
I was going to actually raise something else relative to ODOT and NOACA, but on that point, Member Moss raises a good point regarding bringing it to the board. I think historically this has always been part of it. NOACA's role was to come up at the back end. As you know, we have been planning, as you hear about the planning for the Emerald Necklace for a long time, and all the efforts that actually NOACA, City of Cleveland, Cuyahoga County, the Towpath Trail, and others have put into connecting and redoing, along with the Metro Parks, of course, redoing all those trails. Now they're not connected, and RTA was like not a part of that conversation in the beginning. That was one of the complaints. So now on the back end, now the conversation is how do we connect those trails so that everybody can get to them. And so probably what you're hearing, it sounds like they was having a meeting and a reporter, somebody may have gone to one of those meetings and picked up on it. That's how it made it into the paper. But the plan was always to bring NOACA. The problem is sometimes we plan stuff and then we forget about transportation. And so transportation comes in on the back end, which should never have been the case. But what I was going to raise is earlier in the presentation, you had presented about ODOT giving us another grant, and it just made me think, not because next month is my last meeting, I keep pointing that out, but I think it is a good time to pause and just really compliment ODOT. For so many years, we used to complain about ODOT. ODOT has really been doing a phenomenal job in being a partner to RTA in this region and with NOACA, and it may make sense to bring John and Grace and maybe Farzan from the Turnpike, because we don't think about the Turnpike, but with them now being a member of NOACA, and really bringing them into as our partners and just show how, as partners, the role that ODOT, NOACA, and Ohio Turnpike may play to RTA and why they are important. Maybe just like a partner presentation, and maybe you can touch on some of the things that may be happening that NOACA is doing with us, that ODOT is doing. For example, ODOT just announced that they're finally about to do I-490. Those of us who's been around for a while know that that's the last end of the George Voinovich Interbelt Bridge building. So what does that mean for RTA? Because there is some connecting to Opportunity Corridor and RTA, which intersect with our lines. And so it may be time to bring them in and really do a partner connection. So I was going to raise that, and that might get to some of the stuff that Karen is talking about. And then lastly, I like the fact that we're partnering with Summer on a Cuyahoga. I think that's a good program. I think there's an opportunity for us to infuse some of our DEI into that program. And so any way that we can use that to show the diversity of our system, I think would be good. It's a good program, but it's generally the students from Yale and Harvard and other places that come into the community, which is good because a lot of them are our students. But some of that reverse diversity would be really good, and maybe we can infuse them into some of our programs and maybe get them a little bit more acclimated into what RTA is doing in the community.
So I appreciate all of that. I think I'm feverishly writing down notes. I think it makes a lot of sense. I will say that it's been very fruitful serving on the board as an alternate to our board chair. I do chair the External Affairs Committee at NOACA as well. So I think it makes a lot of sense to be able to work with those agencies to see if we can provide some sort of update to the board. I will say for the Turnpike, I noticed the same thing, is that there's a loss of connectivity historically between the two organizations. So I'm proud to say that we have actually partnered with the Turnpike through our training and hiring division through George's team to be able to work with them in a shared approach to hiring individuals for both agencies, since we have a lot of complementary expectations of employees. They have a lot of mechanical and operational needs that mirror ours. So we kind of go into it in a joint program through our Job Hub program at Tri-C, and that's been really helpful for them as well as us on the supervisor training side. So that's been a good conversation with Farzan. And then Grace as well, we have a lot of work with them. And John's been great at the ODOT side at the table. There's a lot of robust conversation on a monthly basis. So I'll make sure to touch base with them and ask them about what you inquired.
Okay, just my follow-up is, it's kind of what I would like, and I think that all this stuff is great because I love the trail, and I'm a user of the trail, and I'm supportive of it, but I'm kind of interested in what else RTA is doing. Like, what are those projects? Because when those things come up in the paper, we're on the board, and people on Sunday, someone that I know, we're watching the game, and they're asking me about that, and I honestly have to say I have no idea. I didn't even know that was going on. So what else out there is I don't know what I don't know. And so I'm just curious as if we could just have an overview of the projects that even if they're long way from fruition, is just the idea that the board can know what's going on and what we're involved in and what projects we're really working on, so that if it does come up in the paper, we could at least talk intelligently about them. And by the way, those presentations, I love them because they're super interesting. We do spend a lot of our time doing resolutions because we absolutely have to do that. But there's this other part of the whole planning and support, and that the board should be cheerleaders of projects, or if there's a project the board doesn't want a part of, maybe that should be telegraphed early on in the system, not that the RTA gets so far out there and then if there's not board support for it. So that's all I would love to have, a presentation in committee of projects that, especially of that multitude, because that would be a huge project. And one of the things I was thinking about that is, are they thinking about using our heavy rail? Because we have heavy rail from downtown that gets you to 55th Street, or are they just thinking of running new rail, and how would that impact RTA? And I know people are asking those questions because we have a lot of really smart, talented people here, so we know what we can do and what we can't do and what it is. But I would love to hear about that project and anything else out there that's going on.
Absolutely. I will make sure to put that as a priority when those heads of organizations are ready to be able to give you the update, because I'd hate for them to give an update and they're not prepared to be able to give the detail. Those questions you have, I don't have the answer yet. I don't know if they do either, but when they are prepared, we'll definitely come in front of the board before we go forward. But I'll look at a short list, and then we'll make sure to give you guys an update on several projects. There are a lot of development projects that are on the table out here. I think a lot of folks that are coming in front of RTA, because we're finally at the table, you'll see our name used in a lot of media because they are consulting with us. However, a lot of these are in development phase, but we'll make sure to come in front of the board so that there's no surprises. Thank you.
All right, anything else? Yes, Lauren?
I just wanted to call some special attention to the level of detail that leadership has been having around advocacy, not just for the agency, but listening to riders, listening to what's happening nationally and around the country around ways that we can improve transit. And I think, just even before my time on the board and now coming on the board, you don't know what you don't know until you're in it and you're immersed in it. But I will say that I'm just extremely happy about the attention to detail. I mean, even from the beginning around this lovely woman talking about the ADA needs and just immediately saying, like, this is something that we're working on to, I think I read recently in the paper that somebody said that the rail system was made out of, shoestring and bubble gum. And we know that that person is probably being cheeky, but it is one of the eldest rail systems. And we also know that we need a lot of money in order to advocate and change make some of those changes. And to see that we are advocating and trying to get grant money so that we can improve the rail system is something I know that will benefit not just the agency, but will benefit riders. And so it all comes full circle. Even going to these presentations, advocating and talking to these business owners about ways we can improve. I mean, this is all full circle. And I just wanted to put that out there for the record around the ways in which I have just seen this agency really have a level of care and attention and detail around what we're doing, how we're doing it, how we're listening to our riders, how we're listening to the needs of the community, and just wanted to extend just a level of acknowledgement around the leadership for GCRTA and your leadership in doing this work. So I just wanted to put that out there. And also, where can we see these presentations? I'd like to watch them in my free time if they're available on YouTube, but I wasn't sure if anybody had a link to that or.
Sure. Thank you so much. I appreciate everybody. The links to like this one, is that what you mean? Yeah. Okay. So let's do this. Natoya, you and I meet a little bit later this afternoon anyway. And Teresa, what we'll do is provide a quick list. I think you have a lot of them. I know you've got that one. But we'll provide a quick list to the board members and post it. A lot of them are available through APTA, and they kind of operate through that site. But we'll make sure to do that. And then I believe some of them might be recorded from the working session that I went to, as well as others that George went to, and we'll make sure to provide those links too. Yeah.
Right.
Thank you.
Anything else? Thank you very much, Ms. Welch.
Yes.
Anything else? All right. Again, congratulations to our general manager for the work that she's doing, and certainly her voice is not only being heard here, but throughout the transit authorities from city to city. We're proud to have you as our chief operating officer here in Cleveland. I will, due to the time, I will pass by my report because, as you know, every week I'm at some event or representing us somewhere or meeting down here. So I will put those two together next month. Is there any old business? Any old business? Any old people? That's me. Any new business? Any new business? If not, we will hear public comments. Public comments. Who's here in person?
Hi, Chris Martin, City of Cleveland. Trustees, General Manager Bertzon Terry, Deputy General Managers, General Counsel Bernie, Chief Jones, to all the employees of RTA headquarters with your free transit passes. Clevelanders for Public Transit challenges you for 1 week, beginning on Saturday, February 4th, to rely exclusively on public transit as your means of transportation. We also invite you to participate in our Transit Equity Day rally and ride along to kick off this challenge week. We believe you will be better able to govern for the needs of public transit dependent Cleveland residents if you first walk a mile in our shoes, or rather, ride a mile on our bus. You hold substantial authority and political power to prioritize the needs of public transit riding Cleveland residents. For the 23% of Cleveland households and the 12% of Cuyahoga County households that have no access to a car, public transit is a lifeline. Public transit takes them everywhere they need to go, including work, school, a doctor's appointment, a friend's house, the park, and the grocery store. Moreover, since those who rely on transit are more likely to be poor, politically weak, and multiply marginalized, Clevelanders for Public Transit calls on you to prioritize their needs. Please join Clevelanders for Public Transit at Public Square on Transit Equity Day, Saturday, February 4th at 2 p.m. for a rally and ride along. If you choose to accept our challenge as well, this would be a good opportunity to ask regular riders for advice.
All right. Anybody else?
Good morning, everybody. Today, maybe it's colder than other days, but I think our passion here is actually rising. So now, several people already mentioned about Transit Equity Days, and I personally, I was at the county council meeting to invite all the council members and the new county executive who claim he supports public transit to the same event. Here, I would like to urge you to join this particular party. Not because some of the reason other people may think of. You all know how important GCRTA is in the community. But the problem is our funding has always been controlled by either the state or federal government. Do they really help us? Not really. But if you participate in this kind of activities to show that the community has a stronger voice, the strength, to show them that for the environment, for the workforce development, for the local economy, it doesn't matter if people choose to have a car or choose transit. Public transit is essential in today's society. And that will really help a lot. So today, for example, Matthew On mentioned 26, even during weekdays, is not reliable. Same thing. During the meeting, I just got a text message from somebody who had to go to a doctor appointment living on east side, but the appointment will be on west side. Number three actually is a 24-hour service, but it was a no-show. So this person has to reschedule her doctor appointments. This is the reason why it's important we said public transit is our lifeline. Because nowadays we know to reschedule doctor appointments,
10 seconds,
to miss
ma'am.
your school day, everything, it costs all the public resources. So I believe this is the year we work on all these goals to get ourselves moving forward even more. Thank you, everybody. Thank you for your effort.
All right. Anybody else? Anybody else?
I just want to, I've been taking RTA for 26 years downtown to work. I work for the county. In the last 3 years, I just want you to know it has been really horrendous on the Rapid. I don't know what plans you have for this year, but I hope it's like maybe making it better for us everyday people that pay taxes, that have a house, and we're taking it, and we've got all these homeless people, which I will say I feel sorry for them. I have empathy for them, but we are paying the price for being, and we called it Hotel RTA for the last 3 years, okay? So I'm just begging you to try to There is we have a code of conduct on the Rapid, okay? None of this is being followed, none of it. I mean, you would have so many more riders. Half of my friends have stopped taking it because it's just so horrendous. So if we could have police on the Rapid, maybe during rush hour, I would feel much safer, you know, because some of these people are mentally ill, and I feel for them, but why do we have to deal with it? That's all I have to say. And I came because I don't want to drive downtown. I want to take RTA. I'm comfortable in RTA, but it's really, you know, it has to be taken care of, okay?
Thank you very much. Anybody else? All right, anybody on the phone?
We have two callers again.
All right.
Caller, number ending in 0387. One moment. You are on the air. Caller, please go ahead. Caller, do you have any comments for the board? Moving on to the next caller. Caller extension or phone number ending in 5841. Go ahead.
Yes, my name is Dante Taylor, and I am calling on concerns to we need more paratransit operators and dispatchers because you have accessible waiting. You have just accessible waiting. Like sometimes when I call, I'm 35 in the queue, and that's a long time to wait on the phone. When you can be doing something else and everything else, and that callback system half the time that don't even work, and everything else. So I hope that we can fix the wait time for the dispatch and for scheduling a ride. And God bless.
All right. Any more?
Our first caller did call back, so let me try and get them on the air again.
Are they on the line?
One moment.
So what I was trying to complete in my statements were that 48A bus should still be an hourly bus, and it should start at its furthest eastern point at 177th and South Miles and still have weekend service. The number 50 should maintain itself as an hourly bus, but start at Marymount Hospital, and then it would connect Marymount University Hospital and the Cleveland Clinic as opposed to just two hospitals. The 48 Marymount bus could go to becoming an hourly bus in a 16-hour period, 5 days a week, work out something different on the weekend. You would still have 30-minute service from Marymount Hospital to 131st and Miles, where the 48A continues north and the 50 turns left and goes west on Miles with shared service with the 19 until it gets to 116th and then heads north all the way to its endpoint of 93rd and Chester, where the 48 will also have this endpoint at 93rd and Chester, and the 48A will have this endpoint at 93rd and Chester, because the 48A and the 48 will share more than two-thirds of their route service between 131st and Miles and its endpoint of 93rd and Chester. This can be done easily. It will not run up budget. It will not increase drivers. You are refusing intentionally to deal with the accurate assessment of the facts because of obstinance,
30 seconds.
intentional embracement and misrepresentation of the truth, and voluntary ignorance. So if you want to do what you said you're going to do, then do this. Follow the facts and be consistent with the facts. In addition to that, you should also note that 15A, if it runs hourly in a 16-hour period, 5 days a week,
10 seconds, sir.
that will make it easy for the 15 to only run every 20 minutes. And again, you will not run up costs. and you will maintain ridership and probably increase ridership, for sure.
Time, sir.
But you haven't done this. It's intentional. You're being two-faced in your professionalism, and that's disgraceful.
Sir, you're over time.
People
Thank
who
you.
serve in the public.
All right. Anyone else? That's the end of the call.
And that was our last caller.
All right, thank you very much. Chris, I want you to know that I will never forget after being in the hospital for 3 years, when I was picked up by paratransit, the joy of seeing the city again. I had not been out of that hospital or rehab for 3 years. I'm on paratransit every day, and I have been trying my best to make paratransit number one. But I understand that we have a way to go, but I don't have to pledge to ride for that week. I ride them every day. I've been doing that now for years. But I appreciate your being here, and I would like to put that on the agenda for February the 4th. Is that right? At what time?
2 o'clock at
Public Square at 2 o'clock. All right. Thank you very much. Executive session has been requested. May we have a motion?
Do we know why?
President Lucas, I believe we have to state the reason.
The reason to consider appointment, employment, dismissal, discipline, promotion, demotion, compensation of a public employee or official. Thank you. Have a motion.
I move to approve. Second.
Second. All right.
All right. Mayor Biassiata.
Yes.
President Lucas.
Yes.
Ms. McCall.
Yes.
Ms. Moss.
Yes.
Ms. Peo.
Yes.
Mayor Weiss. And Ms. Welch.
Yes.
Yes.
We have 7 ayes and none opposed.
All right. Thank you very much. We'll now go into executive session. Who is to remain?
At this time, I would ask all attendees to vacate the room. This includes all Deputy General Managers.
All right. We have a motion to come out of executive session.
Karen, second.
All right.
Second, any discussion? Call the roll.
All right, Mayor Biassiata.
Yes.
President Lucas.
Yes.
Ms. McCall.
Yes.
Ms. Moss.
Yes.
Ms. Peo.
Yes.
Mayor Weiss. And Ms. Welch.
Yes.
We have 7 ayes and none opposed.
A motion to adjourn?
So moved, Valerie.
Lou, second.
Who called for a motion to adjourn? I
did?
haven't
You did?
finished.
In your Karen voice.
Sorry, we already excused ourselves.
The next regular board meeting
He said,
scheduled
"Who
for
called for a
Tuesday,
motion to adjourn?"
February the 28th. The boardroom and authority. The meeting will be live streamed.
Ms.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
Yeah. Yes,
Ms.
Valerie.
Welch, did you want to
Yeah,
mention
Reverend,
before
I just
you?
wanted to say that I'm going to be sending out a notice today around the nomination committee for those who would like to run for the position. So those will be due at the end of February, February 28th. But I will send out a letter today around the nomination committee. Okay, that's all I want to say.
Thank you. Thank you, thank you.
Okay, motion to adjourn?
So moved, Valerie.
Second, Luce.
All those in favor, aye.
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 Opposed, never opposed. Thank you very much.
I gotta run.
You're board.
Actually, I don't.
All right, we're
It still
adjourned.
has been fun.
So I have a question of advice to ask. Which your little minister had.